y'all? We're here with another episode of Small Talk. You already know, two queens, but today we have the privilege of having three queens, three perspectives, one topic. Asia, what are we getting into today?
So today we are having a great conversation about the truth about feeling unstuck and motivated and unmotivated. Let's get into it.
So real quick, before we jump right into it, I want to give our guest an opportunity to introduce herself. So go ahead and tell us who you are, where you're from, what you do, whatever you want to share with the world.
All right. So, hey, everybody. Hey, y'all. I'm Ashley. I'm a licensed master social worker from the South Kakalaki, South Carolina. I am also a podcast host, a speaker, and I see myself as a mental wellness enthusiast, right? So I basically show effective solutions and tools to assist people with caring for their mental health, whether that's stress management techniques, the importance of gratitude, balancing home, work life, how to deal with depression, anxiety, just understanding mental health overall and developing a mindset of mental wellness. So that's a little bit about me.
That's dope. That's dope. Shout out to our fellow therapists, social workers, and all that other good stuff. That's good. And I'm so happy. Honestly, I think the world has kind of it's slowly turning, right? It's slowly evolving to like break these stigmas surrounded by mental health. So I see a lot more of it. So we're happy and excited to have you here to kind of give us some tips and tools and drop some gems on feeling stuck and unmotivated. So let's hop into it. Asia, you want to kick us off?
Okay, so Ashley, for you, we were talking a little bit before, right? Just around how we've all had feelings of being unmotivated and feeling stuck. So for you and your perspective, your experience, what do you think are some reasons why people start to feel like unmotivated and unstuck? Do you think that it's Do you think that it's more of like internal things, or is it more like outside influences? Like, what's sort of been your experience with that?
It can be a combination of those things, right? Like we're all going through life differently. So although I may be dealing with something internally, something externally can also be happening at the same time. It's just feeling stuck and unmotivated is mostly like a universal human experience. So we've all dealt with it at one point in time in our lives, whether that's career, identifying your next goal, your relationships. But it's like, what should you do when you get back, when you can get back to that motivation and that desire to do something greater than, or also feel excited and passionate about what you're doing? So yeah, I think it could be a combination of those things: internal, external, family, just like what you're seeing on the news. It's like, what am I doing? What is next?
Yeah. And I think life can kind of be overwhelming sometimes too. That kind of caters to being stuck, like you said. So aside from like trying to figure out your new career goals or trying to manage your new relationship, or if you just had kids, or if you just, I don't know, lost someone because 2020 was heavy, it can just, and imagine somebody with all of those things on their plate. So it can be overwhelming, and it could put you in a frame of just being stuck. I want people to understand, like, being stuck doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, I don't know what my next career goal is. It can also mean like being overwhelmed and just not wanting to move, right? And move forward. So I think it's important to we preach self-care like every opportunity we get. And people take it lightly, and people may say like, oh, it's almost like a taboo type thing because everybody's talking about self-care now, but it's kind of like what it is. I'm happy everybody's talking about it because I think it's so important. What are some things that you think are good for self-care, some ways to kind of implement self-care in your everyday life to get unstuck?
So for me, I think of self-care as being subjective. So it's what makes yourself, feel better. Like for some people, they're able to say like, I'm able to take a bath and that works for me. That doesn't work for me. I cannot do that. No, I need to be, what may work for you does not work for me. What may work for me may not work for you. One thing I have done is made learning my love language the foundation of my self-care routine.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So my love language, is either physical touch or acts of service. So how can I do that for me? Physical touch, I can get a massage. I can, or if it's acts of service, I love to help others. I love to volunteer. It just warms my heart. So me learning and knowing my my love language, the foundation of my self-care routines, that has helped me drastically.
I love that. And I feel like we also talk a lot about, right, like love languages and how to love yourself and all those things too. But I don't think that I personally, I don't think I've ever put like, I always think about, okay, somebody else has to do these things, right, to make me feel good,
Right.
make me feel appreciated. But I don't think that I've ever thought about it like, wait a minute, I can do that myself. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Literally just thinking about what you're saying, I'm like, okay, mine's words of affirmation. How can I do that? And I'm thinking journaling. I can write myself a little love letter, right, about the things that I appreciate about myself and different things like that. And it's making me think too about, we also talk about showing ourselves grace, right? And I think sometimes we want to do some of these things, right? Like it's like, okay, I want to go get a massage or I want to just take a beat. But I feel like sometimes like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that I've been working all this stuff, or I've been going through these changes, or I just had a baby, or I just got into this new relationship. Do I deserve, right, to kind of take time out for self? Is it okay that I'm feeling unmotivated and stuck? And I feel like, what would you say to somebody that's almost like feeling guilt in a way for even having those feelings of being unmotivated and kind of going through that low point?
Oh, honey, this is something that I've dealt with a lot in my life, only because we're doing all the things, we are being all the things. Mom life, just being a Black woman in general.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, even before, I had to get out of the mind frame of, I almost self-sabotaged a lot in life. Like, even in my new career now, I'm still a social worker, but in a different setting. And I almost didn't, I make the jump that was necessary for me and my needs based off of, well, I got the kids at home, or I don't know. I don't know if I should do this or do that. Or then you hear like everyone else's experiences and their horror stories, and you're like, okay, maybe I shouldn't take this jump, or maybe I shouldn't do this. But understanding that your experiences or your circumstances are yours, and you just need to do what it is that's best for you, essentially. Yeah, we have to get out of that self-sabotage and feeling that we're not worthy of being in these spaces, because we are.
Mm-hmm.
Take up space.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine to take up space.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Super dope. That's dope. And everything you just said like applies to my everyday life, right? Because self-sabotage, I think everybody kind of does that, either consciously or unconsciously. Like we all do it. In as a part of that, right? As a part of looking at that, we have to set healthy boundaries, because I think that's a part of like knowing when to say no, what's going too far, what's triggering me to set me back instead of moving me forward. So with healthy boundaries for you, Ashley and Asia, what do they look like to you guys? Like, what does healthy boundaries look like?
So for me, when I talk about setting healthy boundaries, I always make sure I tell people to start with the most important person in your life, and that's who? You. Like, when you're setting boundaries and establishing new priorities, you have to start with you, and it's about being your best self, like, because you can't control how anyone else is going to respond, right? You're putting these boundaries in place essentially to protect you and your mental well-being. So when you're capable of being the best to others, just, it all flows. So make sure that you yourself is the foundation or the goal of your boundary at all times. Like, I know, like when you're not setting healthy boundaries and not putting yourself at the foundation of that boundary, you can quickly get burned out, develop compassion fatigue, feelings of anxiousness, stressed out overall. And we've all been stressed at some point of our lives, and our body and immune system, it weakens. So we have difficulty sleeping, weight gain, weight loss. This takes a toll on your body. We don't really want that.
Yeah.
So I make sure I'm setting those boundaries. And I'm setting them bad boys immediately, early on in the game. No matter what type of relationship or setting that I'm in, and I'm being consistent. Also, like when I'm setting these boundaries, this is where that effective communication comes in, right? Because, you know, when you must identify your boundaries and identifying how you're feeling and what you're thinking, because as much as we want to believe, people are not mind readers. They're not. We have to be vocal in what we want. So
point taken.
Yeah. I think for me, when it comes to setting boundaries, and this is actually like a good thing, but also I realize when I'm feeling stuck, I do this more, and it can become more of like an isolation type of thing. So I do actually have to be very mindful, but I'm quick to let my phone die. And I know that sounds very like small, right? But like there'll be times people cannot reach me. In my mind, I'm setting boundaries. And I am, because sometimes I just need a second. I just need a second to acknowledge that I am feeling stuck. Sometimes I'm like, especially, and y'all, I'm sure y'all know this too, like as the strong friend and as the problem solver, sometimes I'm like, okay, I don't want to respond because then I have to go into problem solving mode. Or I don't want to talk right now because I don't know what's on the other end of this conversation, and I might have to whip out a superwoman type of thing, and I don't have it in me right now, you know. And I think so sometimes I do sort of take a step back. The folks that love me and know me, they know where my heart is, and they know that, hey, Asia, just call me a couple times if it's really an emergency. But I think it is, for me, it's setting those boundaries as far as like giving myself permission, right, to just kind of feel what I need to feel, as far as like, I just need a second to breathe because I just don't have it in me to be superwoman right now. Being able to be okay with that. And I think for me, that's how I set boundaries.
I don't have boundaries. No, see, I'm working on it for me because I preach healthy boundaries, and everything you said, Ashley, is so true. Putting you like at the forefront of everything. But then also to Asia's point, like being that strong friend, being that supportive friend, being the friend that everybody calls on for advice. That's where I feel like my struggle is, because I always answer the phone. I always text back. Even when I'm experiencing certain things, I don't know how to not respond to that person because I just feel like that person needs me, right? So one of the things for 2022 that I set up for myself is to be more selfish. Like Brittany, you have to actively be selfish for you. And it's not a bad thing. I think people use that negative connotation with the word selfish, but it's really not. It's just putting self first, exactly what you both just said. And I think that's a part of setting those healthy boundaries. Y'all, I'm working on it because I got a long way to go. Yeah, y'all, anybody, like, it could be the stupidest thing, and I'm in the middle of a freaking mental breakdown. The kids acting up, the car done caught on fire, and somebody's calling me like, what color dress should I wear tonight? And I'm like, oh, girl, send me a picture. Let me know. Instead of saying, I'm waiting for the fire truck because I ain't got no car. You know, like, that's, I don't know. That's my struggle. And I think a majority of people kind of struggle with setting healthy boundaries, and just knowing when to say no and taking a pause. So.
Ooh, yeah, definitely. I tell people now, my no is a complete sentence, and I stand on that no. I don't have to give you a when, what, where, why, or how. No.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. One time I was having a conversation, and with my mom actually, and she asked me, she said, it was so random. And she just goes, Asia, do you have a problem saying no? And I was like, why would I? Why would I? And she says, well, you don't feel guilty? And I said, why would I? Why would I? Because you really have to like ask yourself, right? Like I feel like sometimes it's our fault because we create certain expectations that people have of us. So, like
Mm-hmm.
we're constantly willing to do all the things all the time. Number one, and I even ask my clients this, I'll say, who are you helping for real? Because are you helping yourself? It's like, well, no, because I don't even really want to do that, and da da da. It's like, okay, so you're not feeling good about this. I said, and then I said, okay, the person asked you for assistance or for help. I said, but what have they done to then help you help them? And it's like, well, they aren't really doing too. I said, so now you're just trying to be motivated for the both of y'all, and you're not even motivated.
Yeah.
I said, that's not even fair to you or to them, right? So I think sometimes, like, and for me, what I am learning is not only not answering my phone, because that can be a problem. I know, Britt. I know. But also communicating, right? To Ashley's point, communicating like, hey, I'm gonna be away for a little bit, or hey, I'll just have to call you later, or I just don't have it today. So that people get used to that. People will then get used to, okay, if she has boundaries, I have no choice but to respect them.
Mm-hmm.
If we
Mm-hmm.
don't give people boundaries, what we can't expect them to, to not keep asking or to not keep, doing all the things if that's the expectation that we've set.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I like that Ashley said was no is a complete sentence. Like you can do all of that without an explanation. I feel like people often have to feel like they need to explain themselves, or they're in a crisis. I got to tell them why. Like that, I know I struggle with that. Like, this is the reason why I'm not doing this. When really, like, nah, I don't owe you that much. I took all of that in. Those two letters and that little period means so much. And that's it. That's it. That's the end of that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And I assess the situation too, based off of who I'm talking to. I explain to my kids like why I'm saying no, but anybody else, no.
Yeah, the kids.
The kids, they can get it. They can get it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anybody else, no is a complete sentence. I'm sorry. Not even sorry.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah. I gotta figure that out. I'm working on it. I promise. In that, when we talk about self-sabotage and beating ourselves up sometimes, oftentimes when we feel unmotivated to do things, Asia mentioned showing ourselves grace. Ashley, what are some things that we can do to kind of actively show ourselves some grace instead of just saying that, like, oh, I'm gonna be kind to myself today? Like, what does that actually look like?
Well, showing myself grace for me, again, all of this is subjective. It's based off of your personal experiences, right? For me, rest is productive. I make sure like I'm giving myself time to just be. I don't have to be anything else but just be me, Ashley, in this moment. And taking all of that in, just being with myself. I don't have to worry about me being Ashley the mom, Ashley the social worker, the coworker, the friend. Just being with me, taking time to just reflect. I journal a lot. So I reflect, reevaluate, center myself. That's how I show myself grace. Like it centers me, it balances me out.
Mm-hmm.
How do you all show yourself grace?
Naps are essential, so I'm right there with you. Listen, every opportunity I get to lay in this bed, oh, it's happening. It is happening. Especially now with kids and a husband, it is happening. But yeah, other than that, I feel like just, and this may sound crazy, and my husband often asks, why do you do this? I sit in my car, think about nothing, and sometimes it's with music, sometimes I'm just sitting there. And I sit, and I probably do this every single time I pull up to my house. I'll just sit there. And if I'm in the car with the kids, or if I'm in the car with my husband, they're like, "Are you gonna get out?" No, you could get out. You could go on upstairs. I'm gonna sit here and I'm just gonna sit, because this is me showing myself grace, giving myself the mental freedom to just take in a moment and just breathe, and like, I'm really here and existing, and I really do have purpose in life, and this is what I want to do for me. So I think that's kind of between the naps and the pausing before going inside the house. That's the way I show myself grace.
Good. That's so me. When I my friends have been complaining about this for years, because especially like I never forget in grad school, I would sit in like the parking garages, and so before I would drive home, I would just sit in my car. And one time my friends, they pulled up and they were like, "We're waiting for you to leave," and I'm like, "Oh, don't wait for me. I should have took y'all. My bad. That's on me. I'm gonna watch a couple more of these videos. Might make a phone call. Maybe I won't. I just need to sit for a second. I done talked to y'all all day, been in class all night. Just give me a second, you know?" And I literally, so the driveway is one of my favorite places. And I was actually watching a video about why that is. And some people were saying, you go to work, you do your thing all day, you have those responsibilities. And then for a lot of us, when you get home, you still have more responsibilities. They just look different. Um, so being in that space of like a driveway, right, or just in front of the house, that's that one moment that it's like, okay, I can literally just be before having to go into the next phase of responsibilities for the night. So I think, yeah, so I show myself also, show myself grace in that way. But I think for me also, um where I show myself grace, okay, so I make checklists. I love lists. I'm a fan of it all. um and I will rewrite the list and all those things to make sure that I've accomplished certain things that day, right? So I might not finish the whole list. I really might not, but what I've done is, because I started feeling like, dang, I didn't do nothing today. Like I didn't accomplish anything on this to-do list. So y'all, I'm gonna tell you what I do. Here's a secret. I will literally, instead of doing all the things I need to do, I'll make another list of all the things I've actually done that day. And it might look very different than what it was actually on my to-do list. But if I actually got gas at night and not in the morning, because we know how that goes, that was productive. That was productive because now I know I'm not as delusional as I have been previously, knowing that if I say I'm gonna get gas in the morning, I'm gonna be late. I know,
Yeah.
so but I started making a what things I've done list, as opposed to just things I have to do, so that I can see like, okay, I was productive today. I might have looked differently than what I was expecting, but I did do some things for myself.
I love that. I'm still in that because I get to see all the things that I did do rather than like, oh, I had 3 other things that I did not do. But oh, I really, really like that. Your to-do list might be filled up now.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. And that just goes to show how often we don't pay attention to the things that we actually do, because we're so focused on trying to get the other things done. So that's good, Asia. Maybe I will. Maybe I will start doing. I'm lying. I probably won't. You'll probably have to remind me.
I'm like, Bri, done list? Like, girl, what was that again? Which one?
Yeah, y'all. I got a lot to work on. But yeah, that's good, Asia. I think I'm gonna use that too. If I can, I'm gonna try and make some time. That's another thing. Making time. Can we talk about that for a minute? Like, sometimes we get so overwhelmed and we feel like we just don't have the time to do these things that we're talking about. Putting self first, self-care, this to done list. Even sitting in the car, sometimes I feel like I can't sit. I got to jump out and go. How do y'all feel like we can have better skills at time management and prioritizing self first?
I'm heavy on putting me first, and that is something that I've recently learned, after the pandemic. just due to a lot of things, mental health. I lost my little brother due to suicide.
Oh.
But it's just like, I love me so much. Like I'm up here, and if I don't have the time, I'm gonna make the time. I'm
Yeah.
gonna find the time to do it. I do not care how selfish it may look to others. Oh, sorry. It may seem that way to you, but I'm doing this for me, my goals, my vision, the things that I want to do, and the things that I want to do now. I'm gonna make sure that I'm doing it, because I don't want to look back and be like, man, I wish I would have took the time to do this, or I wish I would have did that. I don't know. I'll find the time to do it. If it's me eliminating a few things that could wait until tomorrow, a month later, I'll do that.
Yeah, I think it's important for us to understand too. And I've had this conversation with a couple friends. When people say like, "Oh, do you have time to blah 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 blah?" No, I never have time to, but it's what I make time for. So if you ask me to go somewhere and I can't go, it's because I can't go. Sometimes we have to sit back and reflect, but actually physically try to make time, to cut out time to do things that we want in life. Because if not, life will pass us by. Next thing you know, we're 40, 50, 60, 70. What happened? Where did my life go? Because we were so stuck on, I don't have enough time. I think that's key to like time management. There is no real rule book. There is no real secret to that. I kind of don't think it exists. I think it's just what you make time for, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think for me, a way to because I started realizing that I wasn't feeling stuck while I was at work. It was actually like after work, and like when I was home, and like I'm like, oh my gosh, like I should be working on, I don't know, outside projects, or I should be doing something, something else that will make me feel fulfilled. Because I think that is a part of um, I'm feeling stuck and unmotivated, right? There's something that's not fulfilling us, maybe in the way that it used to, or we just haven't found like that thing, right? So for me, that wasn't an issue during work because I'm so focused on the task that I have at hand. But in order for me to start taking that even seriously, when I've scheduled in little breaks for myself. Sometimes it's 15 minutes outside of like at my lunchtime. During that time, I will go in my office and I will lock my door. No, I do not want to talk to anybody. No, I'm not answering a call. Actually, we have like a group chat for like all of my coworkers. I put in the chat, I'm going on lunch. I will see y'all I will be available after. Because for me, I realized when I'm at work, that's something that is very routine. It is very structured. So if I can implement that time management stuff while at work, then it might be easier for me to then say, oh, okay, 15 minutes, I can do that. There's so many things we can do in 15 minutes, right? Even listening to like a song's like 3 minutes, 4 minutes sometimes. If that's what you need to take to recalibrate, then do that. I think it's about taking small opportunities to kind of get you even used to taking out the time. Because I think a part of it is not having the time, absolutely, but I think it's also being uncomfortable with, oh my gosh, I have time, I could be doing X, Y, X, Y, Z. I think it's saying no, take that time. Like Ashley said, rest is productive. To be able to then replace just adding in some other task and be productive in a way that's like, okay, well, how can I put myself first? I only have 5 minutes. Am I listening to a song? Am I watching this? Am I listening to this? Am I doing this? And being able to kind of implement it that way in small increments until we can get to the place where we're like, all right, well, I'm going to go do an hour massage, right? And then thinking about, okay, well, that takes time and I got to eat afterwards and then but I think starting off small and then being able to implement it more so over time. I think that's a better way to sort of like do that and to implement that in our routines.
100% agree. I wow, this has been a therapeutic session for me. listening to three social workers, taking it all in, just kind of taking some notes. Real quick before we jump off, Ashley and Asia, let's see, 1 minute to kind of give some words of encouragement, some empowerment to kind of keep pushing yourself to feel motivated to our listeners. Go.
You first.
Ashley, you got it. You got it, boo.
I would just say, be consistent and keep going because, you're going to have some good days, you're going to have some bad days. However, life is all about balance. So when you're in those bad days, you'll have the tools and the resources to get back to your good days. Now that's necessary. You'll have the resources from this podcast, these gems that have been dropped. So come back and listen in if you just feel stuck and need help navigating through your day. But yeah, keep going, guys. I'm short and simple. I don't know.
I love that. That was great. I would say when you are feeling stuck, that is okay. It happens. Just find different ways to recalibrate, reevaluate, recalibrate, and then keep moving forward. Y'all know I love music. I'm a big music person. Get yourself a happy playlist. I'll say this to the ends of the earth because it'll get you in a groove. Because even if you're feeling if you're feeling stuck, it'll still get you to a place that you're starting to feel happier. You'll want to be singing along, just to get you sort of like started again. But just find things that make you happy. Think about ways that you could be fulfilled and more fulfilled. And start asking yourself, what can I do that I will feel fulfilled by the end of the day or by the end of the week? And just do it. Go for it. Without unapologetically.
Ooh, let me add one more thing.
Go ahead.
One thing that has helped me is that I think of myself as my own best friend. So initially, I would visualize what advice 8-year-old, optimistic, happy-go-lucky Ashley would give me. And I also think about what 80-year-old Ashley, who has been through life, who has done the things, been all the things. This has helped me. So I think it'll help you with listening to your own advice sometimes, because most of the times you already have the answers, you already have the resources, you already have the tools. You just have to find your way back to it. So the vision is yours. You just got to get to it.
Absolutely. Snaps for all of that. Asia, Ashley, y'all have said everything that I could say. I just got 3 words: unplug, recharge, and reconnect. Simple. Unplug, recharge, and reconnect. The words of Cardi B. It's up, it's up, then it's up, then it's stuck. When you get stuck, unplug, recharge, reconnect, then go up, up, up until you get stuck again, because you will. That's life, right? I don't think that's what she meant in that song, but we're gonna use it here. We remixed it. And this has been another episode of Small Talk. You already know, 2 queens. Today we had 3 queens, 3 perspectives, 1 topic. We'll catch y'all on the next episode. Thank you so much, Ashley. We appreciate it.
Thank you all for having me.
Of course. Bye.
Bye.